I'm Katharina Sabernik, a physician, anthropologist and artist based at the University of Applied Arts, Vienna. Today I would like to invite you to join a collaborative artistic crowd knitting project reinterpreting the rich heritage of Tibetan medicine. Let me first introduce you to the historical significance of this wonderful tree knowledge in the field of Tibetan medicine. Then I will explain how and when our project will be implemented. The Medical College at Labrang Monastery is situated on the northeastern fringe of the Tibetan Plateau. In this college I found a fascinating collection of artistic medical murals visualizing the structure and the preclinical parts of the Tibetan medical curriculum by using the so-called tree metaphors. The images serve as mind maps for teaching and learning, such as chapters on pathophysiology, diagnosis and therapy in the root Tantra of the four Tantras of Rgyud-bzhi, the central medical text of the Tibetan tradition. In the 17th century, the personal physician of the 5th Dalai Lama wrote a commentary that organized all 31 chapters of the whole Explanatory Tantra using the tree metaphor for each of them. The famous physician, surgeon and teacher Damo Menrenpa Lobsang Chodak is one of Tibet's most significant personality in the history of Tibetan medicine. The Labrang murals are indeed based on Lobsang Chodak's original text. The purpose of this project is to create an artistic reinterpretation of these wonderful trees of knowledge as part of an intercultural, interdisciplinary textile initiative. It is this remarkable text that finds its visual expression in the inner courtyard of Medical College at Labrang Monastery. In all, there are 80 murals depicting the contents of the two tantras structured in the form of tree metaphors. The depiction of the chapters of the root tantra are marked in blue on a sketch map. The 31 chapters of the explanatory tantra are numbered in red. And the green numbers show the adapted sequence following the renovation in 2007. The artistic rendering of the medical content at Labrang Monastery is unique. As part of a research project supported by the Austrian Science Fund, I was able to identify the intended meaning of the murals by analyzing Lobsang Chodak's texts. And finally, I even managed to find and meet the artist who created today's murals, the doctor and painter Rgyud-bzhi. He restored the paintings in the 1980s after the Cultural Revolution, with the help of his teacher Tempa Gyatso, and later repainted them around 2007 after further restoration work. The Tibetan tree metaphor represents not only a linguistic structure, but also offers a multi-sensory approach that goes beyond purely text-based knowledge. Through Tibetan medical tankas, which are scroll paintings, or as in the case of Labrang murals, the content can be visualized or meditatively imagined. However, there is also a haptic tradition in which medical content is taught by placing stones during explanation. At Labrang Monastery, the Medical College has even produced its own synthetic leaves to be applied during lessons. These tree metaphors also serve to examine students who are tasked with either arranging the tree metaphor or painting them. The explanatory tantra contains extensive lists of medical terms from anatomy, pathology or pharmacology. For this reason, Sangye Gyatso, the regent of the 5th Dalai Lama, had expressed doubts as to whether a tree structure outline was even possible due to such complexity. Lobsang Chodak achieved this in an impressive manner on a textual basis, but the visual implementation remained a further challenge, which was ultimately resolved by the monks of the medical faculty at Labrang. The large trees representing anatomy, nosology, dietics, or the requirements of medical practice, each feature more than 40 twigs and well over 100 leaves. This immediately conveys the complexity of the knowledge involved. For years I worked on identifying the individual leaves. All terms can be found in a database I called Tibetan Medical Terms, hosted by the Berlin State Library. Through subsequent anatomical studies, I arrived at my current art-based project, which is called Knitted Body Materiality. It is affiliated with the University of Applied Arts, Vienna. Join me in synthesizing philology and artistic research through my latest collaborative crowd knitting project. A textile visualization appeals to several senses. In addition to visual perception and reading cognition, there is haptic understanding. The process of knitting fosters tactile learning and a connection with the content that is literally created in the hands. The concept of crowd knitting to visually and haptically represents the chapter of the Explanatory Tantra is more than just a tribute to the medical murals of Labrang. The exhibition is meant to vividly embody and artistically reinterpret the rich heritage of Tibetan medicine. Crowd knitting allows for the creation of artworks on a scale that would be impossible for a single individual to achieve. A compelling example of this was the exhibition at the Linz Castle Museum, Austrian Satellite Reef, initiated by the sisters Christine and Margaret Wertheim. Here, extensive crocheted coral reefs were created through the collective effort of the people of Upper Austria. The exhibition Trees of Knowledge, Artistic Visualization of the Explanatory Tantra aims to translate all chapters of the Explanatory Tantra into the medium of textile art. The project aims to engage a diverse community, including local practitioners, scholars, patients and supporters in the creative process. The plan is to present the project idea at the International Association of Tibetan Studies conference in Kathmandu in August, and to encourage colleagues and potential knitters from the Tibetan medicine community to take part. The first results will be presented performatively at the conference of the International Association for the Study of Traditional Asian Medicine in Singapore in 2027. I am currently serving as the Secretary General at IASTAM, developing practical guidelines to facilitate participation. The core principle of achieving something collectively with the help of a knitting crowd is rooted in non-commercial values and relies on voluntary participation. To maintain the project's integrity, outsourcing the work to commercial knitters who have no connection to the content is not intended. In principle, anyone who wishes to contribute is warmly invited to join in. The pivotal question remains: how can this collaborative project be realized? To explore various avenues and pitfalls for realization, I already experimented with 2 trees myself. This hands-on experimentation allowed me to anticipate technical challenges and to refine the process before involving the community. The smallest tree in the series symbolizes the chapter on bodily metaphors and features only 2 leaves. This is a very brief summary of the chapter in which architectural elements are compared to the musculoskeletal system, and in a similar concept, internal organs are likened to state institutions. In contrast, The Tree of Anatomy, which structures the extensive fourth chapter of the Explanatory Tantra, comprises 4 trunks, 48 branches, and a multitude of distinct leaves presenting more information than in the chapter of the Explanatory Tantra. The practical insights gained from mastering this challenge form the basis for providing contributors with clear and accessible instructions. To ensure the correct proportions of the trunks and branches in relation to the leaves, it is recommended to trace the trunks and branches using a printed poster as a guide. High-resolution image files, specially edited from the original documentation, can be provided as PDFs and then printed in A0 format. Alternatively, the physical prints can be sent on request. Crucially, the integrity of the classical text message must remain unaltered throughout the translation into textile art. The various leaf types are designed so that their color and shape encodes quantitative relationships. A green 5-fingered leaf represents a specific unit, either a term or a fact. A narrow pinnate leaf represents 10 units, while a light-colored wavy leaf represents 100 units. This system approach allows a vast volume of information to be integrated in a single mural. I have already produced a variety of leaves and I'm happy to provide these as templates. For the material, I recommend yarn, cotton yarn, in no larger than needle size 3 mm for leaves and up to size 5 mm for the tree's skeleton. The leaves look much nicer if they are edged with a different color. I've decided to crochet this border. Depending on the local conditions of the exhibition room, the tree metaphors may be displayed two-dimensionally, mounted on gauze or hung, or three-dimensionally, with the space using structural support such as softwood or wire. However, as long as the essential leaf structure remains consistent within a given tree, the knitters should be granted the greatest possible artistic freedom in their design. Unlike the knitted trunks and branches, the leaves may be knitted or crocheted. The key requirement is consistency. Once a specific design for a leaf type has been chosen, it should be maintained throughout the entire tree. In the murals, the branches of the trees are duly labeled. While these labels cannot be translated into textile form, they will be included in an accompanying text for the exhibitions. A PDF with these inscriptions will be available on my website soon. The full text explaining the details of the leaves is available in Lobsang Chodak's Tibetan language original, and a German translation can be found online in my PhD dissertation. An English version is in preparation. A total of 31 chapters are to be visualized in the form of a knitted tree, and each tree being presented only once. It is therefore essential to contact me as the organizer to select a specific chapter. Anyone interested in participating is kindly asked to contact me. Upon request, a Zoom meeting can be arranged to provide information on a specific chapter. A general Zoom meeting to explain the project details to interested participants will take place on June 30th. Further information can be found on my website. Thank you for your kind attention.